I recreated iconic World War II Japanese tanks and even fighter planes in LEGO, just to build ultimate World War II Pacific LEGO War mock. In part 1 I focused at the Japanese uniforms in form of these custom printed LEGO minifigures. And in the second episode we will focus at all the Japanese vehicles which I've made for this build, as well as extending the whole mock. If you are interested into history and LEGO, I highly recommend a free subscription to this channel, and let's take a look at the first tank. The Type 95 Ha-Go was the most widely produced light tank of the Imperial Japanese Army during World War II. Introduced in 1936, it was designed to provide mobility and support for infantry operations across the vast battlefields of Asia and the Pacific. Weighing just over 7 tons, the Ha-Go was fast, reliable, and well suited for the rough terrain encountered in China and Southeast Asia. It was armed with a 37mm main gun and 2 machine guns, giving adequate firepower against infantry and lightly armored vehicles. However, its thin armor and relatively weak armament left it vulnerable to more advanced light tanks as the war progressed. Despite these limitations, the Type 95 Ha-Go saw action throughout the conflict from China and Malaysia to the Pacific Islands. Today it is remembered as one of Japan's most significant armored vehicles and a symbol of the Imperial Japanese Army's wartime campaigns. Of course, I've already built a physical model and not just this digital render, but as you can see, the colors don't actually match the final model, as I didn't have all parts on hand which I've needed. Of course, the tank is built in 1/45 scale, which makes it very difficult building these small tanks, but nevertheless I was able to also feature a turnable turret as well as moving tracks. The Type 97 Chi-Ha was the most widely used medium tank of the Imperial Japanese Army during World War II and one of Japan's most important armored vehicles. Introduced in 1938, it was designed to provide greater firepower and protection than earlier Japanese tanks while maintaining good mobility across diverse terrain. The Chi-Ha was initially equipped with a low-velocity 57mm gun intended for infantry support, but later variants such as the Shinoto Chi-Ha received a more powerful 47mm high-velocity gun to better engage enemy armor. The tank served extensively in China, Southeast Asia and across the Pacific, participating in many of Japan's major military campaigns. Although it was effective in the early years of the war, the Chi-Ha became increasingly outmatched by newer Allied tanks with heavier armor and stronger weapons. Despite these challenges, the Type 97 Chi-Ha remains one of the most recognizable Japanese tanks of World War II and a key symbol of Japan's armored forces during the conflict. Again, this physical model doesn't match the actual camouflage of the final vehicle, but I think still is a good example of how the tank will look like built in LEGO. Again, it perfectly fits the size of a minifigure and is definitely a must-have for everybody who wants to build a Pacific War mock out of LEGO. Japanese tanks are definitely not built that often, so let me know in the comments down below how you like these tank designs, and let's continue with the well-known A6M0 fighter plane. The Mitsubishi A6M0 was the Imperial Japanese Navy's most famous fighter aircraft of World War II and one of the most feared planes of the early Pacific War. First entering service in 1940, the Zero was designed for exceptional speed, agility and long-range performance, allowing Japanese pilots to dominate the skies during the opening stages of the conflict. Armed with 2 20mm cannons and 2 machine guns, it proved deadly against light aircraft. The Zero played a key role in major battles, just as Pearl Harbor, the Philippines and Midway. However, its lightweight design came at a cost, with limited armor protection and no self-sealing fuel tanks, making it vulnerable as a light aircraft technology improved. Despite these weaknesses, the A6M0 remains one of the most iconic fighter planes in aviation history, symbolizing Japan's early air power and the intense aerial combat of the Pacific theater. My LEGO model of course features a functional rotor as well as the typical shape of the Zero. Beside that, you even can fold both of the wheels inside, just as the real fighter plane. My main goal was to build something sturdy which you can easily grab and still swoosh around a little bit, just as every child of us want to play with a LEGO plane. I've even included the 20mm machine guns in between the wings. A pilot for the Zero is already in the works, and I totally can't wait to display it all together, just as in the picture you can see right here. I absolutely can't wait until all the prints arrived and I can finally build all the models with physical bricks just as seen in the renders. So let's continue with actual mock building. My plan is to build at least 6 of these 32x32 base plates for the final build, and if you don't want to miss that, you absolutely have to subscribe, as I will already drop the third and final part in 2 weeks. After finishing the plate and brickwork, I've grabbed this recent order, took out all of the tiles, which I will need to layer all of the second base plate right now. To give you a better idea how the final mock will look like, let's add the first part which we've made already 2 weeks ago and start layering the second part of the build. At first I've continued with the small green area and finished it real quick, as the rest of this base plate won't cover any green because it works as airfield for the Zero. For obvious reasons I've used the same techniques as before and continued layering all of the planned pieces. I've next added the Zero just to see how it will look like in the build, and then continued with the endless work of layering all the tiles. As there's much more to build in the final episode, feel free to let me know in the comments down below which details you would like to see in this build. Should I add a bunker? How could the battle scene look like between the Japanese and US forces? All of these questions can be answered by you, so feel free again to comment down below and let me know some cool inspirations by you. So that's it for this week's update. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see the final part of this build. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.